Well, I just haven't been vlogging much the last few days. Either don't think of it or just really nothing's happening. So here's the situation. The pump on the pool stopped working after a storm a while back, but it's not the pump. It's the electrical. And unfortunately, it appears, or at least it appeared at the time, that the problem was something underground. And I'll show you, but there's a pool timer here mounted to the side of the house, and it runs out to a switch out by the pool in a weatherproof box, and then that's hardwired into the pump. So at the time it was urgent. And yes, I know my hair is more than unusually messed up. That's because I'm fighting the sun here this morning. The fight has been lost, so I'm done. That's why I'm taking the time now. But so what I had to do is I attached an electrical plug to the pump, and I've run a extension cord into the house to power the pumps, because if you don't have the pump, then your pool goes bad, and you can see what's happened. And I'm not going to let that happen again. Well, we hope that's not going to happen again. And so now I'm going to try to see if I can't figure out if anything can be done with the electrical. But that's going to take... It's out, particularly out there, is outside in the sun, and it's hot. So it's an early morning job. You get up, you do some of the work, you move on. So this morning's work is figuring out what these few circuit breakers go to, because they've never been documented, except for the one that goes to the pool pump. I've had some suspicions what they went to, but they've never tripped, so I've never had to use them. But I've tracked them down now, and it's okay, except for one strange thing. But we'll go over that in a second. Anyway, the part at the other end, I've got this straightened out now. So the part at the other end by the pool is in the sunlight, and so that means that's a job for tomorrow. Okay, day 2 of experimenting. This time, we're going to see if we can figure out where the electricity goes wrong between here and there. I thought I did a fairly good job of diagnosing it last time, but that's been a year or so. But I was pretty pissed off at the time. So, cooler heads prevail. Not in a rush. Let's see if maybe it's something I didn't understand last time. Maybe I can get the timer working again. That's the most important thing. If I can do that, then we've got a shot. Most of those cables you see are part of the switch mechanism, and coming from the connection to the pump. What I'm interested in are these wires here on the lower right. There's still one with a wire nut on it back there yet. And trying to figure out what the heck's going on here. I think I'm beginning to figure out the pattern. But I'm going to pull the pigtail out for the pump to give me some more room to work in there. And if it's what I think it is, then we're going to have to call an electrician, because I'm not going to do it. And see if the option would be to have them pull a new set of wires. It's looking a bit like the neutral is not making a full pass back to the circuit breaker, which would mean a break somewhere in the cable. And I don't know if that means there's a break in the conduit, but we'll see. Let's get this other junk out of the way first. The age of this wire makes it hard to tell what's going on. But I've got everything on now. I've got both breakers. I've got the timer. I've got it in bypass mode and it's on. And so now the question is, which of these 5 wires has electricity coming through it? Now we already know that the reddish one gets power when the timer is turned on. That's good. The black one didn't come on when I turned on the other breaker, so I think it's dead or it's switched somewhere else. It's theoretically possible that that was the pool light, which doesn't work, and there's no wiring going to the pool light. So it's possible that's got to switch somewhere else in the house. But there are no unaccounted for switches, so let's do a little testing and find out what we find out. We had to have the coppers over last night. Nothing seriously wrong, but something weird was happening, and we wanted to make sure that whatever the weird thing that was happening wasn't a real problem. Let me explain what happened. And while I'm explaining, let me show you something which has nothing to do with this and at the same time does. I'm stepping out here in the pool and we got the sun over my eyes. Here, let's turn around like that. Ugh. There we go. Let's take a look at the pool. There's obviously some dust accumulating on the bottom, and that's a problem we'll have to address. But the water is absolutely crystal clear now, better than it was during the drone flight the other day. And if you look at this over here, you'll see that this is a hose that I bought the other day so that I could have 2 hoses filling the house, and it's connected to the front of the house. And as you can see, it's wet. It's wet still. I wonder why that is. Some years ago, I had to have this house replumbed. At one point, the incoming water lines, which were cast iron or steel, rusted out. They were using that at that time. They don't allow that anymore. They use copper. At least they weren't lead pipes, but they used they replaced it with copper. But of course, to do that, depending on how your feed lines are run, they can possibly avoid it. They don't rip up the house. They bring everything through the roof. So the feed supply to the house is up front, and there are copper pipes running throughout the ceiling going to the back bathroom and the side bathroom and whatnot. And that has a side effect of whenever water is running at a fair clip through the pipes, through any of the pipes, even if it's just out the front, you can hear it. The gimbal battery just ran out, so doing this by hand. So sorry about the picture stability here. I've got the gimbal on the charger. So last night, I was about 11 o'clock. I was sitting over here, there, at the computer. I was transferring some podcast files from the archive to and from the archive drive. And Chuan was sitting in here doing schoolwork, and the kids were, well, actually Michelle was still up doing some homework. And, but James was in bed. Michelle was in her bedroom. And the water came on. And I heard the water come on like that. Didn't think too much of it because we hear that all the time. And working away, and it's been going on for a few minutes, and kind of registers in the back of my head that the water's been running. And like, what the heck, is Michelle taking a shower at 11 o'clock at night? But she wasn't. And Now, the dishwasher can be set on a timer, but it hadn't been set to run, and that would cause the sound. And sometimes, although not at the moment, we have our sprinkling systems on timers, and they'll come on, and the water will be running. So mysterious water coming on and off is not really that mysterious around here, except that, I happen to know that the timers weren't connected because I had them all disconnected when I was refilling the pool. And in fact, you can kind of tell where that water sound is coming from a little bit. And this sounded like the front water, which I happen to know has a 50-foot hose on it that runs around to the back of the house and is set in the pool. So after this had been running for several minutes, the brain's kind of like, somebody had to go turn that on. There's no automatic on out there at the moment. So somebody turned that on. Is that my imagination? So I got up and I went into the backyard because I thought if somebody turned on water in front of my house, I'm not too crazy about this idea. So I went and took a look in the backyard. And sure enough, not only was the hose at the pool, but the water pressure had caused it to come blasting out of the pool, and it was letting up the sidewalk, hence the wet sidewalk that you saw this morning. I thought, that's strange. And I took a look on the security system cameras that are working and could see nothing. And unfortunately, this camera here is not functioning. That's the old system, which is no longer in operation. And I could not see the front of the house. I'm correcting that this morning. So don't feel like I'm telling you a huge gap in our security system. I'm going to fix it this morning. But I couldn't look out the front of the house. So I came out to the windows to see if I could see anything. And I'll just show you the problem. I'm able to open this window. Wow, that's glary. There we go. I'm able to open this window, but you can only get your head in here so far, and I couldn't see anything, and it was dark outside, even when I turned the light on in the front. And if you come over here to this window, there is a sun shield in front of it on the outside, which you can't lift. And in here, despite the fact that the green screen and everything are set up in front of this window, in front of that is also a sunscreen. And so I can't see out in the front of the house, and the water is right here. So I was not too keen on going out. The dogs were outside the backyard. They were a little perturbed, but not much. They were kind of vaguely, there might be a cat somewhere in the neighborhood, perturbed. Not, hey, there's somebody coming up the driveway. Anyway, I finally got to the front door and I opened it, which we have a security door here. So nobody's coming through if they're out here. And I open the door, and the second I do, I hear a voice, "I'm just getting some water, man." Like, no, you're not. "Hey, man, you're saving my life." No, I'm not saving your life. You may not get some water. Get off my property. I never saw the guy. I could never see the guy. I feel like he was hiding over there. Because if I had been trying to talk to somebody who'd come to the front door and I was genuinely trying to get water, I'd have stepped into view, but he intentionally did not come in my range, as if trying to get me to come out the door, which, coward that I am, no, I'm not going to do that. And, he's like, "Oh, man, I'm just filling up my Subway cup here." And I'm thinking, A, the water's been running for 5 minutes. B, it's pouring out in the backyard. So you're not. You turned the water on to get my attention, is what you did. Hoping somebody would come out to investigate. And I don't like that. I don't like it a lot. And he says, I'm just filling my Subway cup. I said, "You're fucking filling my my pool in my backyard, dude. Get off my property. Oh, I know, man, I gotta have water. Calling the cops. You go ahead and call the cops. I am. Cops are being called, but I gotta have water, man. Save my life. It wasn't that hot out. I said, then you just go over here to Domino's, or you go over here to Subway, or any of the restaurants right on the corner, and they're obligated by law in Arizona to give water. That's a law in Arizona. You can't refuse somebody water at a business that serves water. I can refuse them. He was trespassing on my property. So anyway, I closed it up, and we called the cops. We didn't call an emergency number, but closed it up. I called the cops, and a couple minutes later, the water turned off, and I went around in the back and was trying to see if I could see any movement going on around the front, and which of course I couldn't. And when the police arrived, the guy was not here, and they searched, and he was gone. And there was absolutely not the slightest evidence that he'd even tried to remove the head of the hose, or the head of the hose, but remove the hose from the spigot. None whatsoever. No drops of water, no nothing. So whatever he was doing, it was not getting water in the front. I think we have somebody who's doing that to see if they can find out if people are home, or to get people to come out or something. But anyway, replacing the security camera today.